Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I, Lieutenant General Anup Singh Jamwal, परम विशिष्ट सेवा मेडल, अति विशिष्ट सेवा मेडल and bar, विशिष्ट सेवा medal, ADC, and in Siachen Glacier, Chief of Army Staff's Commendation Card holder. Proudly I say that I'm a young officer of 90 Mountain Regiment, top of the house. Well, I retired from the Army on 31st of August 2006. And after my retirement, I focused on my hobby, that's motivation, and my roots. For hobby, I took on public speaking in a big way, spoke to the schools, colleges, ex-servicemen rallies in J&K, different places. Functions, various functions of all kinds, including the religious functions. I spoke on Dogra kings, primarily Gulab Singh and Hani Singh, and also the Dogra heroes, Zorawar Singh, Brigadier Rajendra Singh. And I also passed New Year message to the whole country, and on Army Day to the Indian Army, and to the gunners on Gunners Day, and whatever opportunity I got, I made the best of it. As far as roots are concerned, I started making videos, made videos on my village. Mera gaon, meri pehchan, meri shan. Video on J&K officers, J&K State's officers' living quarters at Satwari, Jammu. I made videos on kings of J&K, Maharaja Gulab Singh, Maharaja Hari Singh. And now I focused on making video on my first unit, 90 Mountain Regiment, the unit, my first family, before I became part of the greater family of Indian Army. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from being the first family, it is the stepping stone of your service career, your first unit. And it's also a start point of your professional journey. Well, the kind of nurturing and the care which we get in our first unit, that's the best we get in our first unit. And we get into human connects, form human bonds, which are social and emotional bonds and connects, which give us confidence, which give us strength, confidence and strength to face life boldly, to face odd moments boldly, take hard decisions with the back of this great strength behind us, of our roots, emotional and social roots. So we emerge as a winner end of the day. Well, you understand the meaning of a unit. You knit the bonds and the connects, and you form a unit. The camaraderie, the team spirit, the oneness, togetherness, that's a unit. That's the first unit, the value of first unit. Ladies and gentlemen, I was very fortunate to serve under first three very dynamic CEOs of 90 Mountain Regiment. The first one, Lieutenant Colonel R.P. Singh, Lieutenant Colonel Rana Pratap Singh. He was a great soldier, he was a great leader, and a very hard taskmaster. He molded the unit into a very efficient and effective, combat effective outfit. Mrs. R.P. Singh was a very highly spirited regimental lady I have seen in my life. We had her blessings and motivation throughout the raising from time to time. The second CO was Lieutenant Colonel S.B. Singh, a great leader and a very focused leader. He dedicated fully on the task in hand, mobilized the unit from peace to field, uncongenial area, Lohitpur, Nifa. We did acclimatization of the unit and operationalized unit in its off task in 2 Mountain Artillery Brigade, 2 Mountain Dev, and with 82 Mountain Brigade. I, for one, thank Mrs. S.B. Singh for her blessing and motivation, to me in particular, by addressing me as Jimmy Sir. What a great compliment by a lady, a senior lady, to a wife of the unit. It meant a lot to me, served a lot to me. My third CO, Lieutenant Colonel V.P. Gupta, a very dynamic and energetic leader who trained the regiment physically and mentally into a very efficient operational outfit and led the regiment to Bangladesh operations in a 3-pronged move and got the name and fame to the regiment by the victory in Bangladesh operations. Mrs. V.P. Gupta, we had the fortune of meeting them during my LGSC after the tenure in 90 Mountain Regiment, immediately after that at the Deolani. And we got her blessings in naming our children Sonu and Monu after their children Sonia and Monia. Ladies and gentlemen, I was born on 2nd October 1945 at J&K State Officers Living Quarters, Satwari, Jammu. This accommodation was built by the last ruler of J&K, Maharaja Hari Singh. A quality accommodation, very nicely located and planned. There are 41 quarters to give a quality upbringing to the children, to the leaders, to the officers, to the veterans of J&K state. We stayed in this accommodation from 1944 to 1960. That is till the time I passed my matriculation. I had my education in Model Academy Jammu. It was one of the leading schools academically. It had shortcomings of playing fields. Well, I did my matric in 1960 in first division. Well, J.J. Singh and Colonel Sudhir Mehta, they were my classmates. J.J. Singh, who retired as the Chief of Army Staff of Indian Army, and Colonel Sudhir Mehta, they joined NDA in 1961 after matriculation. I, for the reasons of my age, joined NDA in 1963 after my intermediate from GGM Science College, Jammu, erstwhile Prince of Wales College. In NDA, I fulfilled the deficiencies of my school. I played all the games including boxing, at the end of the tenure in NDA. And I focused on my communication skills and my verbal skills at the ND. I joined the Indian Military Academy in the beginning of 1966 and was the first battalion under officer of the newly raised Delta Battalion near FRI lines. In rotation, I became the Academy under officer in the IMA. I opted for the Regiment of Artillery as first choice based on the recommendations made by my father. I asked my father as to what I should join. Major Anup Singh, J&K Bodyguard Cavalry of Maharaja Hari Singh forces. He said, well, son, if you want to be a general, join infantry. But if you want to be a good officer, based on his experience, then join Regiment of Artillery. I gave my first choice as a Regiment of Artillery and got it because of my merit. I was commissioned on 25th of December, 1966, in the Regiment of Artillery. Joined the School of Artillery in the beginning of 1967, did my YOs, secured alpha grading in that, missed my silver gun, which was given to one ex-Survey Havildar, late Colonel Ramkishan. Well, end of the show, end of the YOS course, we have a YOS show. YOS show is attended by all the local COs, and so it was attended by Colonel and Mrs. R.P. Singh. And during YOS show, I took part in a Qawwali, Hazurewala. It was attended by Colonel and Mrs. R.P. Singh. Mrs. R.P. Singh, seeing me and my performance, she said, this youngster should join the 90 Mountain Regiment. So it was a dictate to Colonel R.P. and I got posting to 90 Mountain Regiment to join in the School of Artillery itself. Ladies and gentlemen, I joined the 90 Mountain Regiment at Devlali itself, end of the course. So, in July 1967, I joined 90 Mountain Regiment. The first CO was Lieutenant Colonel R.P. Singh, and my first battery commander was Major R.B. Subramaniam. Well, this brings me to the end of part one of the video, part one of the first video. Now, in part two, I will cover the tenure at Devlali under Lieutenant Colonel R.P. Singh. And in part three will be tenure under Lieutenant Colonel S.B. Singh at Lohitpur. And part 4 will be tenure under Lieutenant Colonel V.P. Gupta, that is Lohitpur, Bangladesh operations, and back to Lohitpur. With this, I come to end of my presentation today. Jai 90 Mountain Regiment, Jai Hind.